And how has now breaking into tech sales impacted those two areas, the money and the creativity?
Oh my goodness. Money and creativity. Okay, so we'll start with money because that's easy, right? Um, let's just say this, I can do what I want and really not have to worry about any of the worries that I used to have. Like the money that I make right now, I've never made before. Like ever. And I never thought, I'm like, who would have thought I would have had 10K, $10,000 months? Like I would have never thought that. So it's just amazing. It helps me financially, it helps me personally. On a personal level, I can now, like, I used to have a lot of social anxiety. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to pivot into tech because I'm like, I want to challenge myself. I want to get over this fear that I have. I want to push myself. And so now in tech, money wise, but personally, I have a career. I can proudly say, like, I work in tech. This is my position. I say it with pride. I feel good about what I do, but I'm also challenging myself personally and then career wise. There's so much skills and knowledge that I've gained, and then I can actually like walk out and speak to people and have conversations and feel good versus feeling like awkward and tense and feeling nervous. Now I'm like a social butterfly, so it's definitely helped me personally, career wise, and then financially as well.
So it must have been a challenge to start to adopt this mindset or gain these newfound skills. As part of your three steps in your framework, step one was obtain sales skills and knowledge ASAP. How did you start to go about that once you decided I need to find work that more aligns with my purpose? I want to make more money. I want to be in tech. How did you actually start to pivot and position yourself to accomplish that?
Yeah, so I did a program prior to Course Careers. And so that was not helpful with sales because they didn't focus on sales. They focused on demos, right? So I kept getting interviews after interviews. I kept getting to the third round, but they're saying, "Hey, you're great. You have a great personality, great outreach, but you don't have sales experience." And I'm like, "Okay, I know the issue is that I can get interviews. I'm getting them, but I have no sales experience." So for me personally, I knew I needed sales experience. So I decided to step out on faith. I was passionate about pivoting into tech. And so I said, I'm going to get me a sales position. Whether it's in tech or not, I just need something to put on my resume, some type of knowledge prior to be able to leverage that and push me into tech. And so I went from healthcare and I went out on a limb and I was like, okay, I'm going to work for this research and data firm, and I got some sales knowledge there for maybe like 3 or 4 months before I pivoted into tech. So my story is a little bit different from others, but I knew that that was the issue because I kept asking, "Hey, why aren't I moving to the next round?" And they'd say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you don't have sales experience." So for me, that was that pivot, healthcare to just any type of sales. Doesn't matter, just get me in there. I need that experience.
And I can't wait to talk later about your outreach strategies for getting interviews and actually progressing forward. I think that knowledge will be really great to speak upon. But can you first talk about what was that like getting you actually in the field and doing the sales stuff for the first time?
I'm going to be transparent. It was hard. It was hard coming from healthcare and then going to a sales role. I had the confidence, right? But I didn't have the knowledge yet. So like I had just purchased the Course Careers program, but I didn't actually like go through it. I didn't have all of the info before I got that sales experience. Like it was around the same time that I bought it and got an interview. So I was just like, "Oh my goodness." It was hard. It was hard because I was not set up with all of the sales terminology. I didn't know what they were talking about in the sales meetings. I didn't know about like churn rate, uh top of the funnel, bottom of the funnel. I didn't know any of that. I knew nothing. So it was rough for me, if I'm being completely transparent. It was hard.
And what knowledge gaps did Course Careers help fill in? It sounds like the terminology was important, but talk more about that and how investing in your development began to pay off.
Yeah, so again, I knew I needed sales experience. So now I'm working with this research and data firm and I have some sales experience. But for me, I still was a little lost in the team meetings. I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't understand prospecting to the full capability. And so I kept seeing on LinkedIn, I kept seeing on YouTube, course career students every other day pivoting into tech. And I'm like, you know what? I am getting on this. Like, I am going to get this course. And so when I got it, and when I got hired, I bought it before I got hired, but that was like the interview stage. And so once I started the job, that's when I started doing the courses with Course Careers. And so I learned about churn rate. I learned about top of the funnel. I learned about what a champion is. I learned about prospecting, making cold calls. Those are things that I was doing at that job at the time. And so I'm like, okay, I'm learning all of these things that Course Careers is teaching me. But prior to, I had no knowledge about that. So it really helped me with that position to get me to where I am now, which is in tech.
How long did it take you to complete Course Careers?
It took about like 4 months, if I'm being transparent. And that's because like I had just gotten into a sales job, and that alone, like I was working
Mm.
12-hour days. Like it was crazy. But again, that wasn't for a tech company, so a little bit different. But yeah, it took up a lot of my time, and then being a mom of two. So it took me 4 months.
How did you find the time between full-time working, full-time motherhood, and then also trying to complete Course Careers, which is a lot of information?
Yeah, I focus mainly like on weekends is what I did, and that's why it took me 4 months versus some people that say they did it in a few weeks. I'm like, with all that info, how you must not be a mom or a parent or anything, but I don't get it. I'm like, what? It took me a while, but I really sat down and I took notes and I rewinded and I went back. Like I was serious about that info. So I just found the time on the weekends.